Hi, Todd.
April, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not so bad, not so bad. Jumping all over the place here. I thought I was going to be late and just kind of doing a little bit of running, but here I am. You're in a different locale today.
I am. Yeah, we actually moved in beginning of April, so finally have my own office instead of the kids' playroom. So
Nice. How was the move?
it was good. It wasn't too bad. It was busy, and we went into lockdown the weekend after we moved in, so that was a bit hectic, but is what it is, right?
Good. Well, gives you lots of time to get things done that you need to get done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do we got in here? Q&A and chat. All right.
Yep. So I made you the host.
Okay.
So you should have all of the the ability to do everything. I have to leave for another meeting, but if you need anything, reach out to Heather. She'll be your gal to help you out.
Go-to person, eh? All right.
Yep. Have a great day.
Go.
Talk to you later, Todd. Bye.
Bob, you take care.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, folks, so it's 11 o'clock just after, so we're going to get started. I see we've got a small group here, so I'm as popular as ever. Wonderful. You know what? Absolutely fantastic that you guys know that getting to the end of the school year, right? Some of you may be going on and teaching summer school and whatnot. Just the whole fact that you can give up an hour of your day during a very busy and, you know, somewhat pressing time, right? In order to jump in here with us today. So, you know, absolutely fantastic to have you guys. We've got a small group, so you don't have, let's see, no, we don't have mic rights, but you do have access to the chat pod and you do have access to the Q&A. So I highly recommend that if you have questions or things on your mind, comments you want to make, that you take advantage of those two tools. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. I try to monitor the chat pod as well as I can, and then I'll always go and have a look at the Q&A toward the end of the presentation. So this is going to be rather quick today. Even though it's an hour, I'm going to be going through a lot. And in fact, I'm not going to be able to get into a lot of things that I had hoped I would around course design and course delivery, which is, I mean, huge, right? That's a massive topic. Courses built on those two specific topics in themselves. And I'm going to give you guys a gateway into two free mini courses that I wrote that are being hosted by Queen's. A little more on that in a little bit. So if you could just go to this Padlet, that would be great. So rather than key it in, I'll just go ahead and put it in the chat pod, and then you can copy and paste it or just click on it because it's an active link. So what and I highly recommend that you kind of favorite or bookmark that one, because all of the resources I'm going to be providing you today, you'll find right there in the Padlet, just to show you what the Padlet looks like. So here's the Padlet. Everything around PRISM that we'll be doing today is contained in these docs. Everything around email templates and mail merges in here, and then creating bookable appointment slots in your Google Calendar is here, as well as I have all of the Outlook versions as well, even though I'll just be doing the GAF stuff today. But if you're an O365 user, and you can still do the same things, but there's different guides, and I won't have time to go through those, but they're there for you. And then there's the free Queen's mini courses on design and delivering online learning, and I'll just in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you those. So let's jump right back into our PowerPoint here, and hopefully everybody was able to access the Padlet. And if not, just let me know, and happy to swing it to you. So a little bit about myself. I followed pretty much the same path as many people. I won't go through everything there, obviously, but I was a DELC, and we were called ELKs back then instead of TELC Contacts. You may be familiar with the TELC Contact at your board, but we used to be called ELKs, and I wore two hats. I was also the DELC, responsible for e-learning programming in our board. Yeah, and then I went to the dark side, right? Became a vice principal, and then the administrator responsible for e-learning, and then I jumped into this portfolio. So what you see in green here is currently, this has been my gig now for the past 6 years or so. Oh, thank you very much, Morella. Padlet password is e-learning. Oh, and chat is disabled. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so we'll just use Q&A then. So let's see. There you go, and maybe I can put it into as an answer to your question, the link there. So now you will see the answer to Morella's question, and the answer is the link to our Padlet. So I didn't know that, Morella, so thank you. I thought the chat tool was activated for us. So I do a lot of these, right? Hosted by different groups and whatnot, and it's always a mixed bag in terms of what you are going to get. So another Q&A here. Oh, no problem. All right, let's move on. So yeah, for the last 6 years, I've been the executive director of the Ontario e-learning consortium. We're a consortium of 35 school boards, 35 of the 60 non-French boards in the province. Catholic and public boards, small and large, spread throughout all regions of the province, and we share e-learning courses and e-learning students. And I kind of look after that whole, that whole infrastructure and governance and how it works and whatnot, the day-to-day operations all the way up to governance. So it's been around for a long time, ever since 2005. But I've been in this position now for the last 6 years. And So I also serve on the board of directors for the Canadian e-learning network and eLearn. You know, if you ever get a chance, check out their website. Lots of great PD events and lots of good resources, a lot of cutting edge stuff and research around the pandemic. And then around, you know, some of the more contentious issues, right, around e-learning over the past few years here in Ontario. So Can eLearn's done quite a bit of focus, and they have a researcher, Michael Barber, out of the States. Actually, he's a Canadian. He's from Newfoundland, as am I, but he's a professor down in the States and does a lot of research around about e-learning across the country of Canada. So anyway, serve on there, and then Queen's University. I don't know if there's anyone looking through the list. I see one familiar name there of somebody who may have taken that course. So I've been teaching this for quite some time, teaching learning through e-learning course, and I've also been a course writer for Queen's, and I serve on the Ontario Principals Council. I'm their program lead for their teaching and learning through e-learning course, and I'm also the writer of that course, or I should say the rewriter of that course. Maybe I should update that. Okay, that's enough of it. Enough about me. So what are we going to do today? So here's what I want to show you. That's going to be a whirlwind. I want to show you the various functions of PRISM. So PRISM is what the OELC uses for registration, communication, tracking, reporting, and for data provision and data analysis. Now it's been around for a long time, since 2005, and it's you know, it's kind of been developed with precision just for the way that the OELC operates. So this isn't, you know, a piece of software that's external to our operations and governance structure and whatnot that we brought in and tried to, you know, change everything in the way that we operate to match the software. It's actually software that we directed the development of and funded ever since 2005. So it's pretty slick. And for e-teachers, not a huge amount. I mean, it's not going to be that overwhelming, but there'll be a couple of things in there that would impress you. But for our guidance counselors and our DELCs and our TELC contacts or e-registrars and our e-administrators, like our e-principals and e-superintendents who look after e-learning, it's yeah, invaluable, right, to the way that we operate. So it'll give you all kinds of student information. You're going to do your attendance, we'll do that. You're going to do your progress, we'll do that. Sends out progress updates instantaneously, which is kind of nice. Offers some powerful reporting, not so much for e-teachers, other than, I mean, you produce reports in there, but more for, you know, kind of the data and tracking, monitoring type of side for guidance counselors and for your e-registrars, DELCs, TELC contacts. Dialogue feature, which I hope you guys use. We got some boards using it exclusively now, because it's just, you know, we all have different ways of communicating, and so we're trying to, you know, narrow it down in the OELC so that we're using one effective tool that's instantly available at everyone's fingertips, that's direct communication between those stakeholders who need to be involved. So that's always your teacher, such as you guys, your guidance counselor of the students who are in your classroom, and the system user, the DELC, at the board that's hosting the course, or is the home board DELC of the student. And then final evaluation scheduling, we'll run through how that works. And then I'm going to show you how to use email templates and a mail merge in order to communicate with your students and parents. Then I'm going to show you how to book appointment slots in your calendar so that you can just you know, set up appointment slots if you want doing student or parent interviews or one-on-one support or student presentations, so that, you know, you don't have to, it's just a very efficient way so that people can go in and kind of click, I want this time period. And then once it's clicked, it's no longer active, no longer available to everyone else, and it automatically populates your calendar. So we'll do that. Doodle has a tool for that now too, but you have to pay for it. So we can do it with the free stuff, right, inside GAF. And I provided you with the O365 instructions as well, and then the free mini courses. So let's talk about those for a second. So these are some courses that I had written, and they're mini courses, but you do, there are badges that you earn along the way, and kind of a certificate that you can print out at the end. And the great part is that it's free. And so when you go in, there's one on designing for online learning. So that's designing your courses. It's not how to teach online. It's not the delivery part and the assessment part. It's just when you're sitting down and you're actually designing your course. So lots of great tips and whatnot, you know, things that I've kind of picked up over the years and learned from best practices of all of the people that I've been working with throughout the province, country. And then how to teach online. And then this one, Sarah Dalladay down in Trinity College, private school down in Port Hope, not too far from me because I'm in Peterborough. She wrote this course, Tech Savvy Teacher, which was really cool for integrated technologies in the classroom. So a little bit different than online learning or e-learning, but still very effective. And then how to teach online. So let's just jump into this. I just want to show you what it looks like. So it's all built in Articulate software. If you haven't used, you should really download it, the free version, to create your own courses. Very slick. I like the presentation. So how to teach online, and then you can start module 1, or you can just go down and you can click on any particular module that you want. So I don't know, I'm just going to choose. Oh, it's not going to let me because, oh yeah, there we go. So then it'll go right into this interface, and called Maintaining Presence is the one that I chose. So you can see all of the different modules over here. Are you ready? Some assessments before you teach. And it's filled with interactives. So I'm not sure. I just went into a different, yeah. So it starts off with, some tips. And this is a way that it's not overly text heavy. When I wrote the course, I didn't want it to be. I just wanted it to be, these are the key strategies that I've discovered over the years that work really well. And so, you can kind of go through these tips. Participating in class discussions, timely constructive feedback, the news feed and other tools, monitoring attendance, participation performance, intervening as issues arise. Some pretty basic stuff in this one. Monitoring education. Then you'll see links, and every time you click on a link, it'll open up another tab. And then it'll give you just these are always just very brief blogs of people who I subscribe to, who I believe to be experts in the field with practical experience and what they see, and so it's not overly, ambitious or overly demanding of time in order to read these. But again, they're practical tips and whatnot, and you'll find all of the articles are exactly the same. So, as you go through it, yada yada, then once you're done, it'll this one gives you a summary. You can click continue. Yeah, so I don't want to go too much, but your little interactives in here, engaged or not engaged, makes negative, so that's obviously not engaged. Suggests additional resources, references personal experiences, frequently misinterprets instructions, requests extensions frequently. I can't remember how many, that they're always random, how many I put in here. And then some ideas, a little Padlet activity. Then, when you join the Padlet, you'll see, and there's been a lot of people who've gone through this course, and you'll see a lot of the things that other people have put in there. And I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg, and in terms of this, but I just wanted you to see kind of how the course works, and then things that you can do to get your badges, and when you're done you get a little certificate, and it didn't cost you anything, and very helpful in your for your resume or CV or portfolio or whatnot, but also helpful for you just in your own common practice. I guarantee you're going to trip onto things here that you likely have not thought of. Okay, that's long enough on that. Let's move on. So some PRISM highlights for those of you who really want to delve into PRISM to learn, particularly if you're a techie or whatnot, you want to delve a little higher. All of this is a little deeper. All of this can be found in the Padlet. And then the neat thing is that everything I show you is guaranteed. If you're anything like me, it's going to go, because it's going to be very quick, and you're going to say, oh my goodness, how am I going to remember? Well, you don't have to remember, because you come back to this site, which is our guides, and the link is placed for you in the Padlet, and you'll go down to the teacher user part or class user part, and it'll have all of the little guides. They're all a single page long. They're not these long guides. They all have graphics to support each one of the steps, and it tells you how to do the things that I'm going to show you. Now, I'm only going to show you a few of the things today, because simply because of time. But if the other things you want to know how to do, just visit those guides. There is also, this is just a small part of a very large grid, and I like for people to have access to this, because there are lots of stakeholders involved in e-learning, right from your administrators to your Delta contacts, your e-registrars, and then your office administrators, and then your school administrators, and then you have your guidance people, your most important, next to your teachers, of course, and you have your SSTs, etc. You have your special education contacts, and all of these people are contained in the database, and they all receive correspondence from PRISM that's auto-generated by actions that you take. So if you're ever wondering who are these messages going to, you can come in here and see. Like today we'll do, I don't know, we'll do a current progress. So when you send out a progress email, which auto-populates, you'll see who it actually goes to. So that's a good thing to keep, to keep there as well. So let's go to the real learning and jump right into PRISM. Okay, I'll close a few windows here. All right. So we'll log into PRISM. Some of you may already be, experienced in PRISM. So some of it will be review. Let's not log into. Okay, let's go into a teacher account. Seems to be very slow. I'm going to turn off. I have 4 kids, by the way, and all of them are doing, well, one of them's finished university, but he's working remotely. He's working for the M&R now. And so he's working remotely from home. So he's in meetings all day. And my other 3 kids are in high school, and they're doing, obviously, the remote learning. So all of us streaming at the same time can make it a little taxing when you have 5 devices. All right, let me jump into here. So, okay, here we are. We're in the landing page. When you look here, you'll see a few things. Number one, there's a little notification thing up here. If you ever see that lit up, the little 1 by it or a number, it means you have messages. Now, I'll do that in a second because you're about to get a message from the guidance counselor of one of your students. But you can see right now I have no notifications. So you can come up here if you ever want to change school year. That's very important. One of the things I often get asked is, hey, I can't find my classes. And likely it's because, well, you're in the wrong year. So, I can go to change school year, and I can go to this current year, I can go to last year, or I can go to next year. So always make sure you're in the current year. It always tells you next to your username up here. Now you can also go and edit your profile where you can change your password, change your user school. If you're a teacher who's tied to multiple schools, and we do have a number, then you need to be able to, because courses are tied to schools, and we can't change that. So in order for you to see courses, so if you're assigned to courses that are actually hosted at different schools, for you to see them, you have to change the school, right? So you would just click there and allow you to change the school. But that's probably 5% of teachers out there. Right now, you'll see, oh, emails have been turned off. So for whatever reason, the DELC at your board has decided to turn off all of the PRISM generated emails. That's important for you to know because you won't be getting emails. Now your progress emails will go out, the ones that you send, but anything that's happening in terms of new students in your class or students who are requesting removal or students who have been removed, you're not going to get any of that messaging, or students who have been transferred into your class. So sometimes they do this or when they're doing mass transfers, usually around summer school time, right? When they have huge classes of like 180 and they have to split them into, 6, 8 different sections. So, keep an eye on that. Oftentimes you won't see it. Student alerts. So we'll jump into student alerts here, and I don't have I'm in just a very small school here, in a very small class. And you'll see that I'm a teacher right now, in this scenario, and I've set alerts for 2 of my students. So I can see that there are credit alerts and there are attendance issues. So you can look at your students who I've given credit alerts and students who I've flagged as having attendance issues, or the ones that are really in dire straits, right? They have both credit alerts and attendance issues. So it'll show you the ones that have both. So this particular student here, keep an eye on that because, you want to turn them off, right? If the student kind of digs themselves out and starts performing better, then you're going to want to turn those alerts off. We'll go down here, updates. Here's another link to those PRISM guides that I was talking about. Verify, remove, and cancel. That's for guidance counselor, so you can ignore that one. If you ever come across bugs in PRISM, this is a kind of a direct conduit to JIC Design at Kingston, which is the vendor and the programmers for PRISM. And so this goes right to their team, and it's the quickest way for you to do it. But just make sure that it's actually an issue, that you're not just doing something incorrectly. or always a good idea to reach out to your DELC or DELC contact first, just to be sure. We put in some recent updates here, and then if there's ever a time where you want something new added to PRISM, you can click this form, but it's not going to let you in because it has to verify you, authorize you, authenticate you is the word I was looking for, and it only authenticates DELCs. So, but you can tell your DELC, hey, I want this added. They can go in, fill it out, and then it comes straight to me, and we have a small committee that works on that. All right, not much on the PRISM, but on the dashboard, but pay attention to that, little bell up there, right? So let's go to classes. We're going to jump in, and if you have a lot of classes, then you can filter down by semester. If you have a bunch, I only have one here, so no big deal. And you can see, doesn't give me a lot of information, just nobody's waitlisted, 2 accepted, class cap of 30. That'll be 35. Mr. Ford gets his way. Sorry, just kidding. And then view, that's all you want. View basically means you're going into your class, right? And so here you are now in your class, and you have some, basic statistics and background information about your course. You have some tabs going across here: students, progress, attendance, proctoring, and learning module tracking. And then you have your class list. And so you have your accepted students, removed students, and request remove students. So let's look at this first tab. It shows all of the students who are currently in your course, and you have your over 18s, your over 21s. Those will be flagged as yes. If they're other pupil are most often are international students who have to pay a tuition fee in order to be enrolled in continuing education courses, so or into courses. So that's why we have to keep data on other pupils and what the ministry calls pupils of the board, so that we know those students for whom we receive funding when we do on-sys reporting, and those students for whom we need to invoice, right? Yeah. First name, last name, this is legal. Preferred first name, as you'll see in a second, very important, and that's what we use to populate emails and all of the messaging that goes to the student, but we also have their legal first name in the database. Their school board, their school IEP. Now it says this student has an IEP, but it's not active. Why not? It's because the guidance counselor hasn't uploaded it yet. So don't worry, because a guidance counselor has a widget and has reminders that are saying, hey, you registered the student, they have an IEP, you haven't uploaded yet, you have to upload it. So this will eventually become active. Once they upload it, you can click on it and it'll open up the student's IEP. Okay, download all student data. We'll get to, I can go ahead and do it now actually. So I'm going to download all of the students' data. Open my folder. Come on, little fella. I'll delete some of these other ones I was using, right? So anyway, there it is. It's in my downloads folder. And what I can do is I'll go ahead and open this up. Now, Excel is going to take a minute because I have a lot of plugins for Excel, so it takes a little bit. But the reason that I'm showing you this is that we're kind of confined, right, by real estate. We only have so much real estate on these screens, and it's all responsive design. I can shrink the screen and these columns will shrink, but there's a lot more data that's available when you need, and very important that you do this. You want to have all of the data on your students. So let's go to format here and sorry, auto fit column width, and now it'll show you all of the information. So you get into the parent emails and whatnot, and then other SHISM programs, it goes, and then all of their vice principal, their guidance contact, their special education contact, et cetera, et cetera. So special education contact is there for students who have been flagged with an IEP. Then their special education contact automatically receives all correspondence that's generated by PRISM. Yep. Vice principals receive all correspondence generated by PRISM only for students who have been flagged by you as having a credit alert and or an attendance issue. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to save this because we're going to use this for a mail merge. So rather than boring you with doing it again, I'm just going to go ahead and save this as an Excel worksheet. And yeah. So when you're looking for more student data, that's where you go to get it. Now, you also have a list of any students who have been removed from your course and request removed. So here is a student who was in your course, but their guidance counselor requested the removal. So maybe this, it's not working out for the student, or maybe they found another course or whatever, but you can't remove them officially. And the guidance counselor, their guidance counselor can officially remove them. The only person who can remove them is the DELC or any other system user at the board level. And so they go in daily and just clean these up, go through the removal requests and officially remove the student. So anytime a student wants to leave a course, they see their guidance counselor goes click, removal request, and then the DELC of the host board goes click, students removed. And then, so that becomes, obviously this student moves from this list over to this list, okay? So let's go into progress and marks. And I just want to open up a file here. Seem to be covered by everything else. I think 3 screens would be enough, right? Okay, there we go. So we can go in here and for progress, you'll see that we have, oh, sorry, I just want to go back to students for a second and show you something. You can go to action at any, see, there'll always be actions, and there will be a view and an icon. So right throughout PRISM, you're going to see an action button, and all these action buttons have different actions that are tied to them. So make sure that you use them, because it's kind of a shortcut into doing the things that you want to do. So I can click view for this student, and it brings up a pop-up of all of their information. So I need some information quick on a student. That's a good way to do it. Just go and click, and now I've got, their guidance counselor, I've got, their parent, their contact information, parents' contact information, etc. Okay. And then the dialogue tool, yeah, why not use that now? Let's go to demo student number 1, and I want to send a message to their guidance counselor. So it brings up this particular tool, and then I can put in a message. Okay, so demo student number 1 has logged in, but attendance remains sporadic. Students are required to log in each day, etc. And so then I can go ahead and hit send. So a couple of things happen there. It goes into our transcript, and this is a running transcript of all of the dialogue between you and the student's guidance counselor, and the system user at their home board can jump into if they ever needed to. It doesn't happen very often. And then you can export it if you ever need to export it for whatever reason. Maybe defending a failed mark, I don't know, and saying that, there was regular correspondence involved with this student, and these were the steps that the guidance counselor and I took along the way, but unfortunately it didn't work out. So anyway, just one example of, perhaps many that you can think of. And so that's it, nothing there. So what happened was that just automatically sent an email to the guidance counselor. So because the guidance counselor not in PRISM all the time, waiting for this bell to ring, right? They're basically, they'll get an email saying, hey, you have this message from this teacher about this student, and it'll give the message, and it'll say to reply, log into PRISM and click on your little bell. And we'll do that in a second, okay? So that's pretty good. Oh, yeah, I sent the wrong message. Just because I'm a type A personality. I'm going to go and do that again. And go to dialogue. All right. Just because I already have a pre-prepared response. So there it is. Has not logged in regularly, as was communicated, etc. Okay. So now I can go in and so there's the dialogue tool. I can go into progress and marks. So here's where you'll be spending, most of your time. Before I do that, I'm going to go into attendance, because you're going to ask the question, how do you fill in the attendance? Well, this actually auto-populates from this particular tab. So I can go in and do attendance. Now, for summer school, if you're teaching summer school, a single absence counts as a full week, right? Because you've got a 110-hour course is kind of crushed, is crushed down to often 20 days. So it ends up being one particular absence will count for 5 absences. So the student just does not show on a particular day. That's equitable to a full week absence. So with then a full semester course being collapsed down into those 4 weeks. So here you can see 5s. Now, I can go to the second week and edit attendance. And unfortunately, this does, say July 12th to the 16th. But this would Yeah, that, I guess that needs to be, yeah, when I set this up, I set it up quickly and I set it up as weeks, but it could have been set up as days. Anyway, let's just go to the next one and say that during this time, actually, let's say that they did not log in at all during this week. Then you would make that a value of sort of 4 absences per day, right? Over 5 days would be 20. I think that makes sense. And then click save. And so, yeah. So that's basically how you put in your attendance, and we still have perfect attendance here for our student number 2. So I'm not even going to put in anything. We'll just leave it as 0. It always defaults to 0. So you're only entering your absences, you're not entering presence, right? And then the attendance alert is still an attendance alert for this student. So I'm not going to do anything with that slider. Okay, so all is good there. Go over to proctoring. And this will update. Okay, I know that you're seeing right now. You're probably wondering, hey, 20 plus 5, that's not right. Don't worry, this will update. So we can come over here and we can see a number of different things. The action button again, right? We can edit if we want to make any particular edits to this. We can just to this individual student, we can add a comment, which we'll do in a moment. And in fact, maybe I'll just go ahead and add a comment now, because if I go over here under comments, I can move my cursor over the eye and it'll show me the last comment that I put in for the student. Now this is important because the last comment you put in for the student is the one that gets sent when you send a progress email. So if it no longer makes sense, you've got one of two things you can do. One is either put in a new comment that does make sense, or when you go to send it, uncheck send comments so that no comment gets sent at all. But always, you're always wondering, like, what was the last comment I put in for this student? Hover over it and it'll tell you, okay? And then you can always go into the history of comments and it'll show you. I only have one for this student, but you can, if you want to edit an existing comment, you can do that. If you want to remove a previous comment, you can do that, or you can even add a new comment, right? So we can add a new comment here, and you'll find in PRISM you can do everything in multiple places, or we can go over here under the action button. So I'm just going to say, you know what, this is all good. I'm just going to hit close, and then I'll go ahead and add the comment from here, right? So new comment. So here's my new comment that's going to go in, submit. And then when I go over here, this is actually changed right now, showing the latest comment. I go into my history and there's my 2 comments and I can edit it, etc. All is good there. And now I can go back. What else do I have here? Send progress email. We'll do that in a second. This just shows the OEN. Levels of engagement. So the way that we report progress, if we're not actually reporting a midterm mark or a final mark or uploading an interim, midterm, or final report card, like an actual digital report card, then we report in levels of engagement. And this is very effective. Each one of these levels of engagement comes with a descriptor. So here's the descriptors down here, and that's important to know as well, because the descriptors are what populates that section of the progress email. So make sure that you're choosing them wisely and that they actually make sense. So we've got currently not engaged. Now midterm, oh, it's not allowing me. Final, it's not allowing me to do anything. And not allowing me to upload any reports. The reason we blocked this is because of, kind of happy clicking, accidentally clicking things. So when you want to make changes, you got to click edit progress. And so now you can put in a midterm mark if you want to. So, this student hasn't been doing so well, as you can see by their level of engagement and their absences in the comments that I sent. So I don't know, I'm going to put in a mark of 28, right? So it's a midterm mark. Now, you can also upload interim reports, midterm reports, and final reports if you want to upload, for instance, something from a Marks Manager report, but you can't do that right from this screen. What you have to do is go and actually into edit this particular student. So I can go into edit and I can do everything in here as well that I can do on that main screen, but here's where I'd go in and actually choose a report. And I don't know if I have one here. Let's see. Yeah, so here we go. Let's go and do an interim report. So that's good, and then save. So that becomes an attachment to the email that gets generated. So, that's pretty good. I'm just going to do that one student. Now, it says here, the last time I updated it was obviously right now, right? So I updated it. It'll always show you the latest date in which you updated it, and then the last date that you actually sent out an email. So there's an important difference between those, right? Last time you made changes and last time that you let people know this is where the student is. Check with your board to see what their policy is regarding sending these out. Ottawa Carleton, for instance, does it regularly, very regularly, where other boards kind of, it's maybe once a month or, every few weeks or whatnot. So, it varies board to board in terms of what the expectations are. Sometimes it's consistent for all e-teachers and sometimes it's up to e-teachers themselves, but make sure you know that. So then we're good. Now, you can also import your marks if you don't want to go through your class list. There's an import marks tool here if you want to bring them in from your marks manager. And you can send progress email to all of your students, or you can send it to one. So if you think, hey, you know what, I'm good. I want to send out the progress. Oh, always turn off edit progress. Doesn't really matter. So everything will still work. But you want to send a progress. This is going to send out progress updates for all your students. Now, what it does is it shows you a preview of everyone in your class. So you can go through it and make sure that you got it right? So you have your additional comments. Remember what I said, that's your latest comment, your level of engagement, your midterm mark if there is one, a few more points in there. Now, here's where you say, do you want to attach any reports that you uploaded? I uploaded an interim report. So that's going to be an attachment to the email that's sent. You can also go in and edit progress for any individual student if you come across, oh no, that's not right. You can edit the progress. And if you want to include the comment, you have to click, I want to include the comments, right? Because if you don't click it, it doesn't put in any comments. This is gone, this is blank. And then you can do it, send all. Now what happens is see last email sent, and it just sent out all of those emails to all the stakeholders, homeschool, guidance counselor, parents, student, etc. Received, you get copies. And but let's say you just want to do it for one student. You would just go here and click send progress email. So it would only send it for that student and no one else in the class, right? So I think that's probably good for that. Attendance. Proctoring requirements. So you're going to be required to, if you have, oh, I should have, yeah, doesn't matter. When you open this, it's going to say, this is the only thing that's going to pop up. Is there a final evaluation that requires proctoring? So if you have like a final exam or a final culminating task demonstration in your course, number one. Number two, if it requires a proctor. And number three, if the school needs to, the homeschool student needs to provide the proctor, then you need to fill out this detailed information because the guidance counselor needs to know that. They need to set up a proctor and they need to choose a time. So I've already populated this for you. So I already chose the option yes, but if it was no, nothing else pops up. We don't need it, the information. But if you choose yes, this option pops up. Is it school provided or student provided? If the student needs to provide the proctor, which is rare, but we don't need it. We don't need any more information. It's kind of at that point, homeschool is not even involved, it's the student's responsibility. But if it's the school's responsibility, we need to know, how is it being provided? I said by D2L. Is it password protected? Yes, and I put in the password. Then you can start providing the options. So you can provide up to 10 different times, dates and times in which the student can complete the evaluation. And then, because your students are on different schedules right throughout the province. And so it may be overlapping with other exams they have, other culminating tasks, important review periods, whatever, I don't know. So the guidance counselor has to pick. So you have to provide a minimum of 2. That's OELC policy. And then 2-hour limit. No materials provided. You can list any materials, any restrictions for returning. This is usually, it doesn't happen very often if you got a pencil and paper written type of exam. How is it sent back? So often this would say scanned and mailed to this email address or faxed to this fax number. And then if there's a return deadline, then you can put the return deadline in here. Okay, so all of that, and you click update and it's good to go. All right, so let's log in. Did all of that. Let's log in as a guidance counselor. So here's a guidance counselor of one of the students in your class. So I'm not going to be the teacher anymore. Now I'm going to switch hats, and I will be the guidance counselor. So what do they see? They see a lot more in PRISM, by the way, than you guys do, because they require a lot more. But they don't have the classes tab, so they can't go and make changes to your marks or anything like that. But a few things they see right off the hop is they see notifications, right? Dialogue. See? So they click on there, and here's the messages that were sent. So this is the message that you sent to them. So they can just discard it, and that makes everybody unhappy because they got the email, they got the notification. So you want them to respond, and they just click respond, and then they'll see your message. And then what they do is they just go and send a message back, right? So they just sent a message back to you. So all is good. And yeah. So then we can go to, oh, remember there was an IEP student, right? Oh, and here it is listed. It says, hey, remember, you have an IEP to upload, and that's your student. So you want them to do this, and don't worry about it because I'm hassling them through their administrator, through their DELCs, and then, you know, sometimes through their admin to get these things done and in just with the messaging that I send out. So they're going to go in, and this is the way they just choose. And they could, most often they do this actually during the registration process, but sometimes they don't have it or don't have time, and so then it pops up on the widget. So now that's good. We'll see what it looks like on your end in a second. But remember, the other thing we did, right, is we told them they need to select a time, date, and proctor. So here's the two students that you have that belong to this particular teacher, and here are the options. They can hover over to see the options if they want. But what they're going to do is they're going to go choose date and time. They meet with the student. The student says, yeah, you know, this is the best, or the guidance counselor just, you know, determines that or whatever. They can put in the time. They put in an email, and then they click save. Hey, the other thing that they can do is, you know, maybe it doesn't work for this student, and so they can choose an alternate time. And there's some warnings that'll come up here. So you know, it's basically we only have them request alternate times in severe circumstances when there's when there's a scheduled conflict that can't be avoided in any other way, and it has to be made with that, you know, in at least a week before the final evaluation. Okay, it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. So they would put in an alternate date, and they would still put in the proctor, and then they would suggest the dates and times, and then that would go back to you, and then you make the final decision, right? And it tends to work out pretty good for us. All right, so let's log out. I think I did everything there. Oh, really? I'm going to be flying through the next part. Demo e-teacher, and I just wanted you to see. Oh, our notification didn't pop up, and I'm starting to think now that that may be, wonder if that student is tied to a different account. Because I've been doing so many demos. No, it shouldn't be. So you should have a notification that pops up here. I'm going to make a note of that. Everything was working very smoothly right throughout the semester, and now that's not popping up, and I don't know if it's a flaw or a glitch or it's an error that I'm making. But the message would pop up there because we did respond from the guidance counselor to your original message, and then you would see that and you can reply back, or, you know, save the transcript or whatever. Then we can go back into our classes, and then go to view. And you'll see now, right? Remember that said yes? Well, now it's download IEP. You can go ahead and download the student's IEP. And then you can go into proctored final evaluations, go into your schedule, and you'll see, oh, this person already chose. This person hasn't chose yet. You have to monitor that a little bit, but your DELCs are looking at this. They have they have a report that they just bring up, and it shows the ones that haven't been responded to. So, you know, we get pretty good at doing that, and, you know, trying to make it a little easier for our e-teachers and get our guidance counselors who are really, you know, strapped for time too. But, you know, it's important for them to go in and let you know. All right. Okay, we did that. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go into a mail merge. You know, kind of a great way that you can stay in touch with your students and their parents, etc. And the way that you do that is, first thing is, you'll remember that I downloaded that class data. Let's see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Drive over here. So let's go into, because I need to take that class data, you know, that I downloaded and I saved it as an Excel sheet, and I need to get it into Google, all right, into Google Drive, and to make it a Google sheet. And so that way, then I can do all kinds of neat stuff. But the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to do a mail merge. So this is a little bit cumbersome, right? I mean, you know, you could do it just by dragging it to your Google Drive folder or shortcut on your desktop. I'm just going to do it kind of the old-fashioned way. And I'm just going to go to upload. Oh, sorry, I went into Sheets, didn't I? My bad. Go into Drive. And then I'm just going to go to New, and then File, Upload, and then find the file, which is in my Downloads. And so now all I'm doing is uploading it, right, to my Google Drive. If you're a GAF user, this will make sense to you. And then I can click on it down here, and it's going to open it. But it's going to open it, right, as an Excel sheet. So right now it's going to end in .xls. So it's an Excel spreadsheet. So what I need to do is I need to actually turn this into a Google sheet. And this is one of the things that people sometimes forget to do. You'll see it's a XLSX. So I just have to go to File and then save as Google Sheets. So now what it's going to do is it saves it as a Google Sheet, and then I have it, you know, access to all of the tools that I need. So there it is, all of the demographic information for my student. And what I want to do is, now I have to move my email because I don't want, this is being recorded, and I don't want people to see my inbox, but it's okay to see my drafts. As soon as they open. So I gave you guys a link in there to some Gmail templates, and I just took one. This literally took me only a couple of minutes to do. So I did do this. It's not overly flashy, but just wanted to show you that this is just a draft. So you go to the link and you can download, you can set up the plugin for the templates. And then I just chose a template, and then I just put this information in. So it says preferred name. So obviously, anytime that you have a column in your spreadsheet that you want linked and inserted to be unique to the student into your email, you just use, you know, the greater than and less than signs, right? Two of them. So preferred name is obviously a column that's in my that's in my data. And then so I gave it a title. So this is kind of a weekly update that I'm sending out to my students. And then same thing in the body of the email, right? You can go ahead and put those column names in here so that it becomes unique to the student. So if you have a student who's named Jake, it'll say, Jake, your weekly update. And hello, Jake, welcome again to, and then course name, which is in the file. It'll populate it with course name. And then the cool thing about this is the drafts is you don't have to go recreate them each week. You just kind of go back into your draft and, you know, make whatever edits you want, you know, change your message. And then hit, you know, send everyone again. And, you know, it looks like that you've worked extremely hard in terms of having to, you know, send out all those individualized emails, when in fact you use the tools that are at your disposal in order to make it much more efficient. So, you know, that's a draft. You see, I have a lot, right? I mean, I use them for conferences and webinar series and everything else. So let me go back, and so here's where we are, and this is where we want to do the merge. And so I just simply go to add-ons. And there is a link on the Padlet for you to add this add-on to your Chrome browser. And I'm going to go to, I use a bunch, right? I'm going to go to yet another mail merge, start mail merge. And then rather than emailing each individual student, or having, even worse, all of the student email addresses in one email and their parent email address if you want to add parents. If you just choose your templates, I'm going to choose this one. And then you can do a tracking. I'm not. You can add attachments. I'm not. But always do this, please. Send a test email so that you can see it before it goes out. So that if your dog, and this happened to me, walks across your keyboard, I just have to do this thing here for privacy, move my, and then go into it. So this is what it looks like. So the student's name was Demo 1, right? Demo 1, your weekly update. And then it says, hello, Demo 1, you know, et cetera. So you have, you know, more of a professional looking type of email, and it's consistent, right? You have a consistent template that you use each week. And here's the little template plugin, you know, and there's all kinds to choose from in there. I just chose a very basic one for this demo. All right. And then so when you're ready to go, just click send to emails. It's going to send them any minute now. And then what's going to happen is you're going to, this is one of the things people forget to do. They've already been sent. If you go to send them again, it's going to say 0 recipients because messages have already been sent. But let's say next week you want to send to the same distribution list here. You actually have to go in and delete these. Delete email sent, and then they become recipients again. Because if it says email sent, then it's going to assume a message has already been sent. So that's the only thing that you have to remember. All right, that's that. 10 minutes for me to do one of my favorites, which is the bookable calendar. So I'm going to go into my calendars. Sorry, gang. I've got demo 1. Here we go. All right, that's what I was looking for. I'm just going to go take that away from my screen just so for privacy reasons. I don't want all my calendars popping up here. The Google Calendar. Oh, got them all turned off anyway. All right. Okay, so here's my calendar, and so what I did was I just went and clicked create, and I created a new calendar. You've probably done that before, and I just called it demo course because I like to keep a separate course or keep a separate calendar for each one of the courses that I'm teaching. You don't have to, and most don't, but anyway, so there we go, a demo course. So, you know, nothing big about that. Just click create and it allows you to do it. You just simply give it a name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go create. And remember what I'm doing here, I want appointment slots. And so these appointment slots, going to the culminating activity is actually going to be on July, attending a summer school course here. And it's going to be from 9 a.m. Actually, let's go 8 a.m., a little earlier start. And then we're going to go all the way to 3 p.m. And we're going to make them 30-minute slots. And then I'm going to go into more options. And I'm even going to put my Zoom room, right? So rather than having to send that out separately, I'm going to include this too. I'm going to give the location, which is actually, you know, my persistent Zoom room that I use. And then a description. I'm just going to say, please select a time slot for your culminating interview. And then you can add your students as guests here and it'll generate emails to them, but I just like to give them the URL, you know, post it in Brightspace or whatever, say click on this URL and select your time. And then, you know, it's kind of first come, first serve. They start, you know, as they select them, then the options go down. And so when I'm done that, I guess I should give it a title, right? So give it a title, demo culminating interview, and then click save. And then so that's done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this away because I have to log out. I'm going to log in now as a student. So I'll do that over here. This is going to take me just 1 second to do. Oops. Back in here. It's not letting me sign up. My apologies for the delay here, folks. I'm trying to log into another Google account. It's just taking me a second to do that. I've got a window that's frozen, but now it seems to be waking up again. There we go. So Now, the one thing that I didn't do when I was in those calendars is I didn't actually get the URL. So I saved it, I created it, but I need a URL to send to the students. So if you don't feel like you've waited long enough, you're about to wait just for another moment while I go back in and grab that URL. And I'll show you how I did that so that you're not, so that you know how to do it as well. So basically I created the calendar, the bookable slots, but what I didn't do was actually go in and so here we go. Okay, so, oh, I thought for sure I had created that. Oh yeah, it's over in July. So here it is here in July. I click on it, go to the appointments page. And so this is kind of what the students are going to see. And you can go all the way up to July and see, you can see that all the slots are there. All you need to do is just copy this URL and send it to your students. And then once you send that URL to the students in whatever way you want to do that, maybe just in an announcement posting or whatnot, then you can, they can simply click on it. So this is the problem when you have to log into multiple accounts. All right, so I'm logged into a student account now, and they're simply just going to paste the URL, and they have to move ahead to see, and then when they click on it, it's just going to come up like this, and all they have to do is click save. They can put in a message or whatever, but it'll always bring up their name. So name Todd Pottle, click save, and so now this person has saved that particular place. Okay, they have already booked that particular slot. So now when I go in, and if you want to bear with me for just another second, I'm just going to sign into my my teacher account, and just to see exactly what that looks like. So it's never going to take you this long. You're not going to be, bouncing around, right? From so you see now. Remember, it had all of the slots in there. Now, when I can actually go in and look at the day, and then want to go to the third. Oh, no, that's the 30th. Then what it does, it shows you it'll break it down, right? So it'll break all of this down into all of these slots are still available, but this one's already been taken. And so once these are all filled, this actually disappears, and you end up with all of your filled slots. So showing, who's doing their presentation or their interview during that particular time. So, I find this to be handy, particularly, trying to book students or even large numbers of people is very difficult, right? And so using this, you could also, like I said, use Doodle, but you have to pay for it, and that works pretty good as well. But I found that this has worked really well, and I use it a lot for the teaching and learning through e-learning course that I teach. And when I have to meet with people to go over, meet with the candidates, go over the orientation modules that they develop, which is their culminating task, I just create one of these, and then I don't have to worry about it again. Basically, they have the URL. They have their appointment slot. I have the appointment slot. It's in my calendar in there. So when it pops up, I just know who's coming in each one of those times. So, it kind of works out well for me. So basically, that brings us to the end. And just in case you are interested, I hope that you visit those courses, by the way. My contact information will pop up here. Second. So everything up here, if you need to get in touch with me, is coordinator@oelc.ca. You can follow me at OELC coordinator. Yeah, and so I'm just going to have a look to see if there's anything in the Q&A. We still have 1 minute left. So if you do have any questions, if you'd like to ask them now, this would be the time. Just wait for a moment. And then again, folks, I know, how extremely busy you guys are, and the fact that you took the time out just to jump in here today is incredible and most appreciated. I'm so glad. I like to show people this kind of stuff, and I know that it's a bit of a whirlwind, but you have the Padlet, you have the links, you have the guides. You guys should be good to go. Reach out to me anytime if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or whatnot, and I'm always happy to support. All right, I hope you guys all have an absolute wonderful day. Take care.